data on acid.
Using multimodal reflection sorting, I've been able to detect.
Hey.
Star Trek has fascinated fans for decades with its visionary storytelling and iconic characters. But did you know some of the most memorable moments never actually made it into the official scripts? These hidden gems reveal surprising facts about the franchise's creative process and unexpected production choices many fans have never heard before. What if some of your favorite scenes have secret backstories or unspoken details that change how you see the series? By exploring behind-the-scenes anecdotes and overlooked trivia, we uncover a trove of Star Trek moments that add fresh depth to the saga many thought they knew inside and out. Unscripted Star Trek moments. Some of the most iconic Star Trek moments you love were never planned or scripted. On numerous occasions, actors brought spontaneous energy to their performances, creating scenes that became fan favorites despite not appearing on the official pages. For example, Leonard Nimoy's famous Vulcan salute was an improvised gesture that quickly became one of the franchise's defining symbols. Originally, series creator Gene Roddenberry discouraged it, but Nimoy insisted. Inspired by a Jewish blessing he remembered from his childhood, this small, actor-driven decision added a depth of cultural resonance and mystery to Vulcan culture that no script could have predicted. Beyond gestures, there were unscripted lines that changed scenes entirely. William Shatner, portraying Captain Kirk, was known for ad-libbing, often enhancing tense moments with unique vocal inflections or unexpected quips. In one episode, Shatner's spontaneous line brought humor that helped break a serious tone, adding balance and making the characters feel more relatable. These improvised moments often came from long shoots where actors had freedom between takes to experiment. They shaped the personalities of characters in ways writers didn't initially anticipate. Unexpected visual moments also slipped in during filming. During the original series, budget constraints and rushed schedules meant many subtle gestures or background actions were never written down but were captured on camera. A good example occurred when Nichelle Nichols, playing Uhura, smiled slyly at Kirk in a way that wasn't scripted, hinting at a deeper connection between the characters. Moments like this fueled decades of fan speculation and enriched the viewer experience beyond the printed script. They cultivated a sense of spontaneity that made the universe feel lived in and real. Even technical mishaps sometimes became beloved unscripted scenes. In one episode, a prop malfunction caused Spock's communicator to beep unexpectedly during a serious conversation. Instead of cutting the take, producers kept it because the cast's reactions were genuine and added tension to the moment. These breaks from the script remind us that creativity can thrive within constraints. The organic nature of such incidents adds texture and authenticity to the storytelling. Actors also influenced character dynamics through off-script interactions captured on film. During long shoots, informal banter and looks exchanged between cast members occasionally made it into the final cut. These small cues suggested deeper relationships without the need for dialogue, offering fans subtle hints about character connections. This kind of natural chemistry helped the audience invest emotionally in the crew of the Enterprise. It's a reminder that the human element often transcends the written word. One memorable off-script moment occurred when DeForest Kelley, who played Dr. McCoy, ad-libbed famous lines filled with sarcasm and wit. His natural delivery and timing often added humor and warmth that softened some of the show's more dramatic tones. Writers quickly recognized Kelly's contribution and began scripting lines that allowed more room for his improvisational style. This feedback loop from actor to writer created a livelier and more organic storytelling environment. Even guest stars contributed unscripted gems that left a lasting impact. Mark Lenard's portrayal of Sarek included subtle gestures and expressions that deepened his role as Spock's father, adding complexity to their relationship. Lenard's thoughtful approach made Sarek feel more three-dimensional, influencing how later scripts treated Vulcan culture more seriously. These moments weren't planned, but arose naturally from the actor's understanding of his character enriching the narrative beyond what was originally intended. This improvised brilliance extended beyond actors to other on-set contributors. Directors occasionally allowed moments to unfold naturally during filming, encouraging actors to explore their roles. This flexibility often led to scenes filled with genuine emotion and surprise that fixed scripts could not predict. It's one reason Star Trek feels timeless, as those raw moments capture humanity and wonder in ways penned pages sometimes miss. All these unscripted moments set a fascinating foundation for what happened behind the scenes with script rewrites and sudden creative decisions that shaped the official story. Script rewrites and last-minute changes. Behind the scenes, Star Trek scripts often went through major rewrites that reshaped or removed memorable moments. Writers worked under tight deadlines and production pressures, forcing them to adjust stories quickly while keeping them engaging and coherent. Entire scenes were sometimes rewritten or cut at the last minute, altering an episode's tone or direction. These changes balanced pacing, budgets, and audience expectations, but they also meant some bold ideas never reached the screen. A well-known example is the original pilot, The Cage, which was rejected for being too serious and complex. In response, later rewrites introduced more action and simplified elements to appeal to network demands. Creator Gene Roddenberry had to adjust characters and storytelling, resulting in a final series that blended his vision with executive influence. This tension between creativity and approval shaped much of Star Trek's identity. Rewrites also happened during filming. Dialogue was often softened to avoid controversy, especially around social or political themes that pushed against 1960s television norms. While this sometimes diluted the original message, it allowed the show to reach wider audiences. Over time, scripts became a compromise between bold storytelling and what could safely air. Budget constraints further influenced rewrites. Expensive ideas involving elaborate sets or effects were frequently scaled back or removed. Writers had to simplify plots or invent creative alternatives that fit within limits. Although this encouraged ingenuity, it also meant some ambitious concepts existed only in early drafts. Not every rewrite was only limiting. Some felt like they actually opened things up. In particular, Spock's character development got a lot better. And yeah, that mattered. Actor Leonard Nimoy pushed for a deeper exploration of Vulcan culture, and it basically nudged the writers to broaden the character's background a bit more. By doing that, the story gained more emotional resonance, and honestly, it helped make Spock one of the franchise's most iconic figures. There was also this steady back and forth because collaboration with the cast shaped the scripts too. Sometimes actors asked for dialogue tweaks that seemed a little off, like it didn't match the person we already knew, and writers would often say, okay. That kind of input made the performances feel more organic and grounded. So you had this blend of scripted storytelling and instinctive acting choices, not just memorized lines. Still, constant revisions can be messy. They might introduce continuity issues or leave plot gaps hiding in plain sight. Balancing changing ideas with the real world of production was hard, and not every new direction clicked cleanly. Even so, those little imperfections sort of fueled fan discussions and theories, which then became part of what people loved about the franchise. In the end, the rewrites in Star Trek show a creative process that's shaped by limitations and by collaboration. They demonstrate how the storytelling adapted when things were under pressure, resulting in a series that's remembered for both its big ambition and its human side. Indeed, it was often the actors' improvisations during production that brought these revised scripts fully to life. Actors' improvisations that shaped scenes. Actors frequently stepped beyond written lines to inject personality and nuance into their Star Trek roles, shaping scenes in unforgettable ways. William Shatner's intense and dramatic delivery as Captain Kirk was partly a product of his choice to emphasize certain words or pause for effect, adding gravitas and distinctiveness to the character. His ability to improvise subtle changes in tone or phrasing gave life to scenes otherwise constrained by tight scripts. Such moments of performance flair became signature parts of Kirk's commanding presence. Leonard Nimoy, whose portrayal of Spock balanced logic and suppressed emotion, also improvised gestures that enriched the character. His choice to curl the fingertips upward when making the Vulcan salute came from his cultural background and creative insight. Nimoy's subtle expressions and mannerisms, though not always scripted, helped communicate Spock's internal struggle and complexity. These quiet improvisations deepened the audience's connection to the character far beyond what dialogue alone could achieve. DeForest Kelley's McCoy was another source of spontaneous brilliance. His dry humor and sarcastic remarks often originated from the actor's instinct to lighten tense moments or highlight ethical conflicts. Kelley's improvisations contributed to McCoy's distinct voice as the ship's conscience and emotional anchor. Writers began crafting scenes knowing Kelley would add his personal touch, making the dialogue feel more natural and engaging. This synergy between actor and script elevated character interactions. Nichelle Nichols brought strength and grace to Lieutenant Uhura through both script and improvisation. She sometimes added subtle reactions, glances or sighs that spoke volumes without words. Nichols's presence helped break racial barriers on television, and her unscripted moments conveyed pride and resolve that inspired viewers. Her improvisations helped flesh out Uhura as a vital and inspiring member of the crew. Guest actors also contributed improvised moments that enhanced their roles. Mark Lenard's portrayal of Sarek included subtle inflections and body language that added authority and emotional depth to the Vulcan patriarch. These choices enriched the storyline by revealing complex family dynamics. Many of these small embellishments were spontaneous and demonstrated the actor's investment in his character. Improvisation wasn't limited to dialogue. Actors sometimes adjusted physical movement to convey meaning. For example, Leonard Nimoy introduced Vulcan hand signals beyond the scripted salute, conveying subtle social cues and emotions. These nonverbal improvisations added layers of culture and authenticity, influencing how future writers expanded Vulcan society. This physical storytelling became a hallmark of Star Trek's world-building. Off-script humor also surfaced spontaneously. During filming breaks or between takes, actors would trade jokes or playfully break character, some of which were captured on camera and occasionally leaked to fans. These moments gave insight into the camaraderie behind the scenes and humanized the characters. The genuine friendship mirrored on screen made scenes feel more organic and believable. In this way, actors' improvisations were not just deviations from the text, but vital contributions that shaped the tone, pacing, and emotional resonance of Star Trek episodes. Their creative instincts filled out the universe with humanity and unpredictability, elements that continue to captivate audiences decades later. The richness added by improvisation naturally leads to the discovery of the deleted and extended scenes that offer even more hidden Star Trek treasures. Deleted scenes and extended cuts. Star Trek's universe holds a wealth of footage that never made it into final episodes or films, offering fans intriguing glimpses of what might have been. Deleted scenes often include alternate character moments, expanded plot details, or deeper world-building that were removed for pacing or budget reasons. For instance, Star Trek. The motion picture originally contained far more exposition, much of which was cut to improve the film's flow. These missing pieces sometimes add emotional depth or clarify motivations only briefly touched on in the final version. In the television series, deleted scenes have occasionally resurfaced in remastered editions and special features. The Next Generation releases included restored footage that had been trimmed due to time limits. One example is an extended exchange involving Captain Picard that adds political tension and complexity to an episode. Moments like these highlight how production constraints shaped storytelling, even when additional material could enhance it. Some unseen footage also reveals the franchise's early ambitions. The original pilot, The Cage, featured a different crew dynamic and a more contemplative tone. Its inclusion of Number One as a prominent character reflected ideas that were later altered due to network concerns. This footage provides a fascinating look at an alternate version of Star Trek's beginnings, one that might have led the series in a different direction. Extended cuts of the Star Trek films go a little further, expanding key relationships and storylines. Some releases end up with added scenes that quietly deepen those character exchanges, like the ones between Kirk and Spock in the 2009 reboot. These moments bring more emotional weight too, and they help fans get a fuller sense of the familiar narrative. So rewatching the franchise doesn't feel like a replay of old material. A lot of these cuts came from practical stuff, though. Editors had to hit strict runtime needs, so they often trimmed off a subplot here or reduced those calmer character beats there. Sure, it kept the final piece more streamlined, but it also meant some subtlety slipped away. Still, that discipline seems to support the fast momentum that really defines how Star Trek storytelling usually moves. Then there are deleted scenes, which can show creative tensions behind the scenes, as it were. A few removed moments hint at darker or more inward, reflective directions that might have been toned down to fit what the audience expected. Other scenes point to character growth that never quite made it, including bits that make antagonists feel more human or give supporting figures additional substance and perspective. In the end, those lost or restored scenes work like tucked-away artifacts. They offer a sharper look at how Star Trek gets made, not just what made it onto the screen. It's a reminder that every film and episode is shaped as much by what gets included as by what is left out, quietly. Within these creative workshops, many behind-the-scenes stories illustrate the human moments and production challenges that never made it into the script. Behind-the-scenes production stories. The production of Star Trek was often as compelling as the stories on screen, filled with challenges and creative breakthroughs that shaped the series in lasting ways. Long hours in makeup were a daily reality, especially for actors portraying alien species. Leonard Nimoy, for example, spent extensive time preparing as Spock, yet he embraced the process to ensure authenticity. These demanding routines often led to humor and camaraderie among the cast and crew, strengthening their working relationships. Budget limitations pushed the team to think creatively. The original series frequently reused sets and props, transforming simple materials into iconic elements. The Enterprise's warped nacelles, for instance, became a defining visual despite their modest origins. Behind the scenes, designers and prop makers found inventive ways to maintain a futuristic look with limited resources, giving the show a distinctive charm. In the writer's room, creativity thrived alongside debate. Gene Roddenberry promoted an optimistic vision of the future, but writers frequently discussed and challenged story directions. These exchanges shaped episodes and characters, blending philosophical ideas with entertainment. Some of these debates led to last-minute script changes that influenced the series in meaningful ways. Cast relationships added another layer to production dynamics. The well-known mix of friendship and rivalry between William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy brought energy to their performances. Their off-screen interactions, whether supportive or competitive, helped create the chemistry that defined Kirk and Spock. Directors really did shape the show too. People like Mark Daniels and Joseph Pevney had to balance what the network wanted with what they were trying to reach creatively. And they often made quick calls while filming, not thinking too long. Their willingness for improvisation gave way to little bursts of emotional truth that were not always, in the exact same way, in the script. Makeup artist Fred Phillips also mattered a lot in building the show's overall look. His alien features, like the Vulcan ears, did not just appear fully formed. He worked through trial and error, with some setbacks in between. In the end, those choices supported a believable universe, the kind audiences eventually came to love. Even wardrobe problems ended up part of the deal. Costumes could be stiff or just plain not quite right. So actors had to tweak how they moved or how they delivered lines. Those tiny adjustments sometimes turned into noticeable character habits, even if nobody planned them. So these behind-the-scenes bits make Star Trek feel like more than neat, scripted science fiction. It was, in a real sense, a shared effort made from imagination, limits, and the commitment of everyone there. The unseen moments of production naturally invite a deeper look at the continuity quirks and script errors that also left their mark on the franchise's enduring appeal. Continuity oddities and script errors. Even a meticulously crafted universe like Star Trek's is not immune to continuity oddities and script errors that have both puzzled and entertained fans. Many of these slipped through due to tight production schedules and limited resources, especially during the 1960s. Viewers often notice small inconsistencies, such as props changing between shots or slight variations in uniforms. These moments offer a behind-the-scenes glimpse, reminding audiences that the series was shaped under real-world constraints. Storyline contradictions also appear across different series and episodes. Vulcan customs and Spock's background, for example, were portrayed differently over time as the franchise expanded. While some of these shifts were intentional, others resulted from oversight. Together, they show how maintaining consistency in a long-running fictional universe can be challenging. Script-related inconsistencies sometimes led to conflicting dialogue or changing scientific explanations. Concepts like warp speed or transporter mechanics were not always consistent from one episode to another. These discrepancies reflected the balance between storytelling and evolving real-world science, with writers often prioritizing narrative over strict continuity. Visual mistakes are another well-known part of Star Trek lore. Episodes like The City on the Edge of Forever feature small timeline inconsistencies and anachronisms, often due to last-minute rewrites or complex plots. Rather than detracting from the story, these details sometimes added intrigue, encouraging fans to interpret or overlook them as part of the show's charm. Production errors were also common, especially in early seasons. Occasionally, boom microphones, lighting issues, or imperfect special effects appeared on screen. Limited budgets and time constraints meant not every flaw could be corrected. Today, these imperfections are often seen as part of the series' nostalgic appeal, reflecting an era when creativity sometimes outweighed technical polish. Character continuity might be a bit inconsistent too. Changes in uniforms, badge types, or ranks sometimes show up without any real explanation, and it felt especially true in the original series. Most of the time, these details don't really break the bigger story, but they do show how production decisions often chased efficiency rather than keeping perfect accuracy. Then there is dialogue, which also got curious in a slightly messy way. Characters would bring up events or particular details differently from one episode to the next, mainly when new storylines needed a retool. It kind of makes sense, though, because it points to the franchise changing over time, as writers repurposed older elements to make room for fresh ideas. Even writers who had done this for years didn't always avoid contradictions. Things like the properties of dilithium crystals or other technological specifics would sometimes shift around just to make the immediate plot work. That sort of flexibility, I guess, helped the series lean more toward drama and themes, instead of locking everything into rigid consistency. In the end, a lot of these issues have sort of turned into Star Trek's charm. Fans often accept them with humor, like turning the glitches into something shared and kind of appreciated. So instead of shrinking the franchise, these quirks make it feel more human. They invite audiences to jump in and stay engaged with its always evolving universe. This intricate dance between official narrative and fan engagement naturally leads to the unexpected ways unscripted or off-script moments inspired theories that continue to enrich Star Trek's lore. Fan theories linked to unseen details. Star Trek's expansive storytelling has inspired countless fan theories, many sparked by subtle off-script details. A glance, a line reading, or even a background prop can ignite interpretations about character motives or the rules of the universe. These theories reflect the deep connection fans feel and show how meaning often extends beyond what is written. They also demonstrate how attentive audiences transform small creative choices into lasting conversations that continue long after episodes air. One enduring theory centers on Spock's balance of logic and emotion. Fans note that his occasional emotional moments suggest more than simple character development. Instead, they hint at an ongoing internal struggle tied to his dual heritage. These interpretations often stem from Leonard Nimoy's nuanced performance, which introduced layers not always explicit in the script, enriching Spock's psychological depth. Some viewers even argue that these subtle shifts foreshadow larger cultural tensions within Vulcan society itself. Another widely discussed idea is the red shirt phenomenon. Security officers in red uniforms frequently meet unfortunate fates, a pattern never formally explained in the series. Fans turned this into a form of lore, with some suggesting in-universe reasons for their high casualty rate, such as dangerous mission assignments or systemic hierarchy within Starfleet. What began as a production pattern evolved into a recognizable and often humorous element of Star Trek culture, frequently referenced both inside and outside the franchise. Time travel and alternate reality episodes have also fueled speculation. Small inconsistencies or missing scenes have led fans to imagine parallel timelines or unseen outcomes. The franchise's flexible approach to continuity allows viewers to reinterpret events, turning gaps or contradictions into opportunities for creative expansion rather than flaws. Entire discussions and fan works have been built around the idea that multiple versions of events coexist within the same universe. Visual elements inspire theories too. As costume colors, insignias, and props get studied for some veiled sense, sometimes people treat them as if there's a message tucked inside. Fans often read those design choices as hints about rank, allegiance, or even a person's temperament, even though the scripts really don't give any confirmation. Over time, those guesses can snowball into elaborate backstories, which add texture to the whole universe and somehow make its visual language feel more alive to everyone. Character relationships are a big part of this as well. Small facial cues, awkward little pauses, or even lines that seem sort of improvised have pushed fans toward theories about deeper emotional ties. This shows up a lot with figures like Kirk and Spock. The interpretations dig into unspoken connections and bring extra emotional weight beyond what's said in the dialogue, giving viewers room to picture dimensions that are only hinted at, not plainly stated. Even continuity errors get folded into fan creativity. Instead of brushing aside inconsistencies, fans try to rationalize them, like they're evidence of hidden agendas or unseen events. And then, actor improvisations help too. Tiny unscripted gestures can invite a whole other level of reading, as if something underneath the surface is talking back. In the end, these fan theories underline why Star Trek keeps sticking around. They turn viewers into participants who keep expanding the universe, not just by watching, but by imagining, debating, and leaning into shared curiosity, again and again. As we approach the most surprising revelations hidden from the official scripts, the boundary between scripted narrative and living myth continues to blur with each new discovery. The most surprising script revelations. Among the many hidden stories within Star Trek's expansive franchise, one of the most surprising script revelations involves Spock's early characterization. While he is known for his calm, logical demeanor, initial drafts of the original series portrayed him as far more emotionally conflicted and vulnerable. Over time, this was refined into the balanced, restrained personality fans recognize today, an evolution shaped in part by Leonard Nimoy's subtle performance. Captain Kirk's original character arc also differed from what audiences ultimately saw. Early scripts explored darker moral dilemmas and deeper self-doubt, presenting him as a more conflicted leader. However, these elements were softened to maintain the show's optimistic tone. Deleted and revised scenes reveal a more complex figure, challenging the image of Kirk as purely confident and fearless. The Mirror Universe episodes provide another fascinating shift. Originally conceived as standalone adventures, they evolved into deeper explorations of identity and morality. Early drafts even considered darker outcomes for the characters before settling on a more balanced narrative. This change demonstrated the franchise's ability to blend entertainment with thought-provoking themes. Some of the most unexpected script changes involved character fates. In early drafts of The Next Generation, Data was intended to face a tragic end or major transformation much earlier. Instead, writers extended his development across multiple seasons, allowing audiences to connect more deeply with his journey. This decision highlights how long-term storytelling can shape character legacy. Star Trek's iconic technology also went through significant script revisions. Concepts like the transporter, warp speed, and the prime directive were refined repeatedly during development. These changes helped define the structure of the Star Trek universe, showing how adaptable the franchise has been in responding to storytelling needs and audience expectations. Behind the scenes, this personal stuff, like how writers, producers, and actors bicker or genuinely vibe, also nudged the scripts in weird little ways. Sometimes partnerships felt fine. Other times, there were clashes, and boom, last-minute changes would arrive and somehow reshape whole episodes. It's that human element, kind of messy, that makes the whole production process seem oddly unpredictable yet still creative. Also, a bunch of the scripts originally carried sharper social commentary about things like race, gender, and politics. But because of network worries, these themes were often toned down or rearranged. When later drafts were rediscovered, it shows that Star Trek kept testing limits, even if the constraints forced the storytelling to get more subtle. Like it had to whisper instead of shout, but the message was still there. In the films, script revisions could even flip the mood completely. The shift away from the darker vibe of Star Trek Nemesis toward the more optimistic 2009 reboot involved huge changes in plot and the way characters were framed. That reorientation felt like a refresh for the franchise, while it still tried to respect its own history. And lastly, some of the most fascinating insights come from scripts that were lost or never really released. These might be ideas, pilot attempts, or full storylines that never made it onto the screen. Those fragments hint at richer possibilities, fueling curiosity, and showing that Star Trek's universe continues to evolve beyond what audiences see. We've uncovered how many surprising moments never made it to the official Star Trek scripts, revealing a creative process full of evolution, improvisation, and bold ideas. These hidden stories deepen our appreciation for a franchise that's as alive behind the scenes as it is on screen. If you enjoyed exploring these lesser-known facets of Star Trek, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more fascinating journeys into your favorite universes. Thanks for watching.